everyone, and welcome back to We're Watching Star Trek, the original series. As always, I am Brandon, and I'm here with Dan.
Hi there.
And we got Paul. I'm a little backwards today.
Yo, what it is, another episode, let's do it.
And we are going to cover Season 1, Episode 10, the Corbomite Maneuver. Wow. The original air date for this was November 10th, 1966. Corbomite Remover actually would have come in handy, I guess, at some point.
Yeah, definitely would have.
Yeah, so we're just going to go ahead and start it off, just going through the episode, and it opens up with Spock and crew on the bridge, and I always like seeing Spock in command. I don't know why, like I just, Team Spock still.
It just feels right.
Yeah.
He used the logic and everything, so like we're like, okay, I agree with him so much for the simple things, so that's the way Spock is.
Yeah, he's had a few moments where I was kind of like, but yeah, I like seeing Spock in the captain's position. But he's on the bridge taking pictures of just space, and they're making some star maps. And I guess they've been doing it for like the last 3 days. And I don't talk a lot about like the cinematography of this show, but we get a really cool shot of like the outside of the ship, and then we get a really, really weird shot where they zoom into the dome on top of the ship, like to come into the bridge, and like I don't know if that was like some weird experimental thing that they were trying, but that did not work for me at all.
It could have been the director's choice of that day, because I think they get different directors for each episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would make sense then. And the other thing is, I know we've talked about this a few times, and I think this is a good place to kind of throw this in here. But like, I think my original list of when episodes were shot and intended to air was wrong. I think this one was supposed to be actually like second or third. So like that's why like the quality of these episodes keeps changing. Like, and people's uniforms keep changing, which I know is a weird way to like judge stuff, but that kind of progression over time. So like Uhura sometimes is wearing gold and sometimes she's wearing red. And I think this was supposed to be like a way earlier episode. So I think they were still trying to figure stuff out.
I will say the uniforms have slowly grown on me as time has gone on.
Yeah.
Well, I personally think this episode is so like exposition we're looking for, like not a lot of action, but a lot of talking and thinking, that I don't think they thought they could draw viewers in with this kind of episode at the time. Like we're watching it now, and we're committed to the Star Trek journey. So like it's a bunch of talking and stuff like that, and we're real into the characters, who they are. So like all this talking and stuff doesn't really bother you, and it gets like you're so into the characters. If this was like episode 1 or 2, I might have thought, you know what, why are you guys talking for? Like there's a lot of stuff going on because I'm not really into the show yet.
Yeah. Like the other thing too that I noticed about this is like something felt off about the quality of it. Like just the film itself. Like I don't know what it was, because obviously, we're still going through the remastered version of this, but something about it just felt off. Like it felt like a really early episode for me. And I guess maybe it's because it was, but I don't know why they changed the order of them. But they get an alarm starts sounding, and Sulu warns Spock that they've detected an object and that they're on a collision course at light speed, which happens a lot in this for being in just like empty space exploring. Like they're always on a collision course.
Yeah, what are the odds of actually that happening when you can go in any direction in the universe? Like, oh, hey, there's something in my way. Like, not very likely.
Yeah, but we don't know how long it's been between each episode, though. It could have been a month and then they ran into something, or it could have been an hour. Like we're watching it by episode, so we don't know how long it's been since they accidentally ran into something.
Yeah, but like we send satellites to other planets and they take years to get there and they don't run into shit. Like these guys are running into something once a week.
That we know of. Somebody thinks they're probably exploding all around that we don't know about.
Yeah, but it was just like our equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Spock orders them to, do the logical thing and take evasive maneuvers, and Sulu informs them that the object changed direction as well, so it just keeps coming at them. And Uhura says that she hasn't received a signal from the object, which like they keep saying signal, and I assume that they mean like a radio signal, like a transmission. They use the word signal for like everything, and most of the time it's just like a transmission. So I don't.
Yeah.
Space words. But Spock is sitting in the captain's chair, looking right, and he orders them to sound the alarm. And Sulu says that the object is slowing down at that point, so Spock cancels the alarm and just orders a full stop. So they get visual contact with the object, and it shows on their screen. It's just a big, colorful, rotating cube, like just almost like a big solved Rubik's cube.
That's what I was thinking it looked like too.
Dude, I gotta say, like, when I first saw this, I thought, oh, cute ship. And I thought, yo, that is so actually cool because, like, it is so just the idea behind there being a box ship out there. Because I thought it was a ship at first, like everybody else would
Right.
think. I thought it was a ship at first. I thought, who thought about that? Because I never, like, the idea of making a ship in my head, I never thought about a box ship being what I want. Plus, like, even the CGI of it, like the terrible CGI of it, is really cool. Like,
Yeah.
it's a good idea. Like the spinning of it, the color changing. Like, I don't know what it is about it. It looks cool. Even for the time, it looks cool. Like it looks so. I don't know. There's something about it I really liked.
That's what I was going to say is like at this point, I really wish that we were not watching the remastered version because I want to see what that cube looked like originally. And I looked it up. I couldn't find screenshots or screen caps of it anywhere.
Mhm.
Like I've seen the Enterprise and it was clearly just a model. So I was really hoping to see the original one. But to your point about having a cube ship, like, hell yeah, dude, you're in space. Like there's no wind resistance. There's no need for you to have anything aerodynamic. You can have any shape that
no
you
drag.
want. So why not just have a big ass cube out there? Yeah.
Yeah. See, I didn't even think of it that way.
Yeah, like as long as you never have to go to a planet with an atmosphere, like you just have a big ass cube flying around. Who cares?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. So Spock orders Sulu to slowly go around the object, but the cube just keeps staying in front of him and blocking him. And the helmsman, who is Bailey, yells. He just yells. He's like, "The object's blocking us!" And Spock calmly tells him that it's unnecessary for him to raise his voice.
He's like, "Calm down, bitch."
Yeah, he's like, dude, like chill out. It's not a big deal. So he orders another full stop, and then he orders the alert he was going to do to begin with. And so Sulu sounds the alert and summons Captain Kirk to the bridge. And then we get the show's opening. So we get another shot of the outside of the Enterprise, and it's stopped, and the cube is just, rotating in front of it, being all bright and crazy. And we get a captain's log explaining, this just what happened, which wasn't a lot. And explains that Kirk is currently in the sick bay and he's doing his quarterly physical. And that's where we go next, is Kirk's just laying on a table with his legs on like that bicycle thing on the wall we saw Charlie doing. And he's just like, it's just basically like bicycle pedals in a wall. He's just like pedaling. And
A great callback, by the way. This is a great callback moment.
Yeah, I like to see that everything stays consistent like that. But what I thought was really funny was like Kirk is in the background pedaling and he's just like muttering. He's like, "You're killing me. You're killing me." Like, dude, you're just pedaling a bike. Like, it's not that big a deal.
I think it's more about he's tired as hell. He wants to stop, but he realized if he stops, he has to read the whole entire physical. I get what he's going through because see, from this moment on and the rest of the episode, I gotta say it's my favorite Bones episode ever. And him and Kurt's dynamic of friendship is so the biggest thing about this episode in a way.
Yeah.
Like it's a small subtle thing, but like you see him enjoying torturing him with the exercise. He's smirking.
Yeah.
He's like, and like something you would do to a friend if you put him in a bad situation. You like kind of smirk about it, like, yeah, I know, I got you. Like, and he's like, he's it's not out of like hate. It's more out of love and joke, for their friendship dynamic, and it's funny.
Yeah, you can tell Bones likes to screw with him.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he doesn't get the opportunity too much, like with Kirk being the captain. So
exactly. So anytime he can mess with a medical, I think it's just he's like, yeah, I got you now. I won't mess with you. Like, I know. I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy their friendship.
To that point though, like how does Kirk stay in such good shape? Because mostly he just spends his day kind of sitting around, like doing nothing. So he has to be exercising like all the time, right? Not like all the time, but a regular amount.
It has to be exercise. It has to be exercise. We know they got the workout quarters. We know that much.
Yeah,
people working out and stuff. So they must have a lot of time they work out every day.
Yeah.
And plus, they probably walk about 10 miles a day. He walks all day. Think about it. He walk in room to room, walking about a big ship. He probably walks like 10,000 steps in a heartbeat.
Actually, that's a really good point. The ship is so much bigger than they have shown so far. So yeah, you could easily just like walk a couple of floors in that and probably get in a few miles. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder what a typical day for him would be. Like how long is he captain for? Is it like 8 hours, 12 hours? How much sleep does he get?
Yeah, he's got to have some downtime. And that also makes me wonder, like, so they have like a B team, like who's their B and C team captain?
Well, you would assume Spock is number 2.
Right, but
Remember
Spock's always on when Kirk is.
No, remember a couple episodes ago, Spock and Kirk were on the planet, and they put somebody else in charge. I can't remember who it was. Was it Uhura?
Right. Well, I imagine though that they have like shifts though, right? Like everybody, because it's always the same team with Kirk. Like it's always McCoy and
the
Spock
night team
and
the
Uhura.
day team.
Yeah, like they have to have like maybe 3 shifts. So like who's the B and C team?
I don't think there's a BNC team around here. I think you just go to bed and then you get up and then you're in at all times. You got to be ready.
Yeah, and like
someone, I would imagine maybe someone who's piloting this ship during the night probably has full control, and if something goes wrong, they have to call Captain Kirk or Spock. But yeah, the captain can't be
well, I
can't be doing it 24/7.
Right now, army wise, you're on 24/7, and when you're in the army, the military thing, you're on 24/7. So you get your little catnap in, and you get ready to go. So like, and you guys kind of rotate things. So like, if this like military based, I figure that you're on 24/7, and you get your sleep when you can. And if something goes wrong, something goes wrong, you wake up. But if you think about it, there could be months before there could be huge months where they don't even see anybody at all.
Yeah,
it could be. But we're getting the episode, so it could be gaps where we don't see any. We haven't had human contact in 3 months, but we're going scanning these stars.
Right.
So maybe there's more of a gap between the action than we think it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
So there'd be a lot of downtime, you're saying.
Yeah. Guy, could you imagine if we had an entire episode of just like a regular day where nothing happens? Like they're just walking around the ship and having like boring ass conversations and like routine maintenance.
There might be an episode like that. There could be one coming up. We don't know.
So McCoy notices that there's a red flashing alert sign, and he doesn't mention it to Kirk, and he just keeps an eye on Kirk's vitals instead, and he stops Kirk from pedaling and asks him if he's winded, and Kirk's all out of breath, and he's like, well, you're the last person I'd tell, so just hamming it up as captain. And he looks up and he sees the flashing alert sign and grabs his shirt and goes to the computer to call Spock. Spock tells him what's going on, says that hey, you need to have a look at this, and he switches to the view of the rotating cube. Which is really funny because he's like, Captain, you need to see this, and then like just shows him a cube, and Kirk's just looking at this, and he's got to be like, okay, like it's a cube, like what about it? Like that doesn't explain shit.
There's no other details. They say he was like, oh, that looks cool. Like yeah.
He's like, you got to see this. Like, oh, it's a cube, great.
Yep.
Like, thank you, Spock.
Well, they don't have cubes in the future apparently, so it's like you got to see this, man.
Yeah, we've never seen anything like it. So McCoy joins Kirk at the computer to look at the cube, and Spock just keeps, explaining that it's blocking him. And they ask him if it's a vessel, and he says it's just more some type of device. Again, just offering all of the information in the world. And so Kirk starts to head for the bridge, but he stops to ask Bones why he didn't tell him about the alert light. And Bones is like, well, I finally got a physical done on you. So he wasn't going to interrupt that. And so Kirk leaves the room, and McCoy's just like sarcastically asks, he's like, yo, am I a doctor or a moon shuttle conductor? Which a moon shuttle is a really weird choice of words for the future.
So random, bro. It was so random. I was like, that's literally what I did. I was like, I had nothing to say. Like complete silence for me. I was like,
yeah, just like moon
that
shuttle.
Doesn't make sense. Or like, like there's some kind of famous quotes like, am I something or something else? Like I can't remember. There's some kind of famous quotes in time or whatever I've heard, but I don't know. It didn't work. I thought it was terrible.
Maybe going to the moon is such a regular occurrence now.
Mundane
that you
thing?
literally just like are a shuttle conductor to the moon.
Okay,
like it's like a bus.
You win. I get. You know what? You win that one. I give that.
I mean, I didn't even
future humor that we don't get
right
since we live in the past.
I'm gonna tell you, like moon shuttle, it's just like nothing because they can go in space. So moon shuttles right there, I guess, don't really ain't up. Okay, what? I can accept that. I didn't think about that way. I just didn't get it.
So he's just like talking out loud to himself when Kirk leaves, and he's like, well, if I jumped every time a light came on, I'd end up talking to myself. And, just funny little joke in there. Yeah. So in the corridor, sweaty Kirk is walking to the bridge while the alarm's going off, and he gets into an elevator, and he like turns this lever, and he tells it where to take him.
That's really cool. Like, yeah. Well, but is that what he said? is that why he says bridge and then he calls the bridge?
Yeah,
Oh, see, that confused me because I thought he said bridge and then forgot to click the button to call the bridge. I didn't
yeah,
I didn't
and
think he
like,
I didn't think he turned that and said bridge to go to the bridge.
yeah, he
I
just
think
like,
Oh,
when he turns that handle, it activates like the intercom, and you can just say like, "Hey, I need
yeah,
to go to the bridge."
yeah.
it,
Well,
it,
that
it
I wonder if
confused
it's an
me.
automated thing or if he's like talking to somebody. God, that would be a shitty job though to just control the elevator. So I gotta assume it's automated. But it does answer our question from Dagger of the Mind, where we weren't sure whether an elevator goes straight to the bridge or if they have to like go through a corridor. Yeah, he was just taking an elevator to the bridge. So now we know that at least.
Yeah, yeah. See, I'm glad.
Which one? Once again, if you had someone escaped on your ship, wouldn't you put a security guard in all the
Yes.
elevators?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just thought because I thought, so he turned the knob and said bridge. I thought he forgot to click the button and say bridge. He was like, oh yeah. And he was so flustered. Then he clicked it and said bridge. And then he clicked it and said bridge. So I read that whole scene wrong. I wrote it as him making a mistake and forgetting to say to click the button. I didn't realize that he turned that knob and then said bridge, and that's where it takes him to.
Yeah, I
Oh
think
my God.
we
So
get an instance of this later too. I forget what it is, but I think somebody later also uses the elevator and turns the thing and says where they want to go.
that's a really cool thing they made. Like an idea. Like just turn it
Yeah.
and say where you want to go. Like that's very eventful and cool. I read that whole scene a whole different way, and now that I'm looking at that, I thought, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
Well, apparently Kirk also forgot his cell phone that he had to use the intercom.
Yeah. So he's in the elevator and he calls Spock to ask him if anything has changed with the cube and if there's any indication of danger. And Spock says no to both of those. So Kirk decides that he's gonna go change his clothes first, and he just hangs up on Spock. Which
Again.
like, why did he take his physical in his uniform?
Oh yeah, not even that. But he looked like such a badass walking through the corridor with his shirt off and his thing across his his shirt off across his
Yeah.
shoulders. I thought, yo, like whatever it is, he exudes it. He's like, I'm Captain. Like I'm just walking here with my shirt off, like I ain't worried about it. And the people don't pay him no mind. I thought that whole situation was kind of funny.
He's
Yeah,
like, "I
but
do
like,
what I want."
I was just like, you're gonna go to do your physical, and you're gonna get all
Yeah.
sweaty as hell. And he's like, I'm just gonna wear my work uniform and then go back to work. Like, dude, nobody wants to smell you on the bridge all day.
He's Captain,
Well,
man.
in
He knew what
fairness,
to
he
do.
probably wasn't expecting, a disaster to happen
Yeah,
while he was
but
getting his
Okay,
but
physical.
still,
yeah, that's
Brandon is
fair.
right though about the workout clothes because we've seen them in the workout room multiple times and their outfits different.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
especially when we
just
seen Charlie. When did Charlie had the powers that made old dude disappear in the room,
they were
the
wearing
gym
like
room?
the gi, like the
Yeah,
karate
yeah,
gi.
yeah. I remember that. So like, yeah, I remember particularly they had different outfits. So you're right, Brandon. I don't know why he would change outfits.
Yeah, so back on the bridge, Spock is telling Bailey to have the reports ready for when Kirk arrives, and Bailey remarks, he's like, "Hey, when I raised my voice earlier, it wasn't because I was scared or couldn't do my job. It's because I'm a human, and I have this thing called an adrenaline gland." And Spock replies that it sounds inconvenient, and asks if Bailey is considered having it removed. Which like Sulu's just sitting over there like chuckling, and Bailey's like, "Well, he's just not amused."
Dude,
Uh,
Spock is he's such a jerk on accident, but
but he's
like
so quick too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like feeble human without saying feeble human all the time. Like he don't mean somehow he knows the way to remind us, hey, I'm awoken. Like without how you got that one friend that reminds you of something all the time, like I'm better than you.
Yeah,
Somehow, like without even doing anything, kind of subtle thing, like blah blah. But guess what? Like he's that friend. It's always running their mouth all the time about the one thing he has better than you.
do you think that like
Well, we
that's
also.
why? Go ahead, Dan.
Oh, no, I was going to say we also learned something new about Spock that apparently his race doesn't have adrenaline glands.
Yeah, that's why he's always so calm
Oh
all the
yeah,
time. Remember, you
yeah,
mentioned that he what was it in the first episode? I think it was, or the pilot, that he wasn't sweating on like that planet. So like
Yep.
yeah,
he can't even get like excited to the part or like nervous to the point where he starts sweating. So
yeah.
I mean,
Like
yeah, that
yeah.
explains a lot. But do you think that like that's the reason Vulcans don't have a lot of I mean, I assume they don't have a lot of friends that aren't Vulcans, because like Spock is definitely a sarcastic smartass, but in like a very playful way. But if you don't know him, like he just comes off as kind of an elitist.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm not sure, which is always funny about the dynamic of his and Kirk's friendship, because Kirk is so opposite of him.
Yeah, but Kirk also
That is,
definitely understands like when Spock is joking, which is like
yeah,
all the
yeah.
time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he thinks Spock is joking all the time. No, I think Spock's being serious.
Yeah,
I think
he's like, no, I seriously hate you.
No, he's being serious about it. He just the way he says it, we're like, nobody will talk like that to these people that they're friends, but they realize that's how you talk to your friends.
Yeah,
right. Well, I also like
you always pick on each other. You always joke around each other. You're always sarcastic to each other. That's the way you are with friends. But he's just being serious, but it's taken kind of as sarcasm.
And that's why I think Spock and Bones' relationship works also, because Bones will give it right back to him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See. Yeah. I just think that Spock's personality, if he wouldn't call it that at this point, it's super straight line. And even when he's being serious, you have to. It's up to you to determine if it's a joke or not. Not not to him, because the way he talks is always flatline. But it's for you to take it as a joke or you to take it personal to hurt your feelings.
Right.
I feel like.
Yeah, you just
gotta get to know Spock
him.
Won't probably take it personal though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you were to insult him, he'd just be like, whatever. That's giving you an irrational emotion from something that you said would be illogical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, though, not to change the subject, but I did have a note here as well about Bailey, and I was like, man, Bailey seems kind of like a smartass, and I bet he's going to be a problem. Like they set him up as the guy on here that's going to cause a huge issue, like immediately.
I tell you what, for the moment I saw him, like the first time I saw him, I thought, oh, he's the one.
Yeah,
I thought he would.
He's going to die.
Yeah, he's the issue.
I thought he was going to die, or I thought he was going to accidentally press a button and shoot a laser and start a war.
Yeah,
like he did his adrenaline glands were a little bit hyped for to be out in space. Like you're in space. You obviously seen many unknown things. Why are you panicking about this damn box this quick?
Yeah, and
like he went to panic quick.
And the other thing that I found out just through like just a little bit minor research after I watched the episode is that he is the direct replacement for Gary Mitchell. So this episode is like way in the beginning of the series. I want to say like third in then. So like I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know.
They must change stuff around. See, the whole order. Probably in season 2 we'll get more into better organization.
Yeah.
Order wise,
yeah,
but I assume it's a lot of jumping around in this one.
Yeah, so Kirk is back in his office and he calls Spock to ask about any changes, and Spock says that there are still no changes, and Kirk asks if they tried, all the frequencies, and Spock's like, well, yeah, duh. So Kirk wants all the department heads to meet him on the bridge, and Spock's like, they're already here, dude. I don't even know why he bothers with Spock. He's so ahead of everything.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Like, you should just know that Spock would have, done everything that Kirk would have asked of him.
Yeah, and he would have done it 5 minutes sooner than Kirk thought of it too. So this is another cinematography thing that I couldn't help but laugh at this. So we get this shot of Kirk exiting his office, and for some reason it's centered on like his waist down, so like it's just a shot of Kirk's ass as he's leaving the office, and then they play some like really weird like dramatic music, like something terrible just happened or is about to happen while we're just getting this shot of Kirk's ass as he walks out the door, and I'm like, is that the Corbomite Maneuver? Like his just like shaking his ass as he's walking out the door? Like what the fuck was this?
I don't even know. Like it lowered the camera about 6 inches.
Yeah,
and they should have kept it up to, yeah.
And they play just like some really awful music, like something terrible.
For the ladies, to get the ladies intrigued, like we got to get a flash, a little. We got Kurt with his shirt off. We got Kurt's butt shot. Get the ladies like we got to get the ladies into the show somehow.
Like they notice, like, hey, you got a lot of men watching. How can we get some women watching this show also?
Shirtless Shatner and just ass shots of him walking out the door. It was so weird. Like normally I don't notice little stuff like that, but I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, why that shot?
they intentionally like went down. Like you can see the person with the camera intentionally go down, like very slowly.
And then in editing, they kept it. They're like, yeah, that's a good shot, and just kept it.
That's the money shot.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Something for the ladies.
But it turns out that's not the Corbomite maneuver. Like him just shaking his ass as he exits his office. It's not the maneuver. It is a maneuver, though.
Maybe that's what we should call that maneuver from now on, then.
Yeah, that's it. The only thing that could have made it better if he was just like walking out and he's just like Kirk out and just like starts just walking out like that with that shot.
Oh my god.
Kirk he gets to the bridge and Spock says that the sensors, he says sensors. I'm just going to say sensors. I'm not going to say sensors. And he says that the sensors show that the cube is solid, which, hey, cool, but they don't know the composition of it. And Uhura says that she still hasn't gotten a reply from the cube. So Scotty gives his report, which he basically says, he's like, hey, I don't know shit about this cube. I don't know how it does what it does. I don't know what it's doing, but that's my official report. And McCoy's just like, yeah, same.
Oh my god.
Kirk's like, why am I paying you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just this whole episode is such a. I'm laughing now hard this time watching it through. Like as we sitting here talking about it, I'm laughing about everything. But I get the whole panicking and everybody reports being stupid or whatever. I didn't catch any of this my first time or second time watching it through. I kind of was in the moment.
Yeah, but also like, why is Scotty even there? Like he's a department head, but he's the fucking transporter guy. Like, why do they have him there trying to figure out what a cube is made of?
No,
that's a good point.
No, he's at engineering, dude.
Okay, but like just because he's an engineer, like he's gonna know what this thing is made of. Like you have an entire crew of people trying to figure that out on the bridge.
No, time out. Don't diss my dude Scotty. I gotta defend Scotty now on this moment. I gotta defend
Scotty. Spot could have called him over the intercom and like, hey, what's this cubes thing? And I don't know. All right, hang up on him. Like Kirk does.
Listen, first of all the department heads, he been to every department head meeting through the whole 10 episodes we're on now, 10 episodes, even through all of them. Now you want to complain that he don't know nothing, okay? Now you want to say something. Like, come on. It's like he's an engineer. Listen. Engineers are smart people, okay? He's not Spock smart, okay? Let's admit that. But Spock isn't a transporter guy either, though. I'm just saying that maybe he knows something. Like, maybe it's affected engineering. I don't know. But Scotty's there for a reason, okay?
Like, I get that Kirk wants Scotty's like opinion on stuff, but if you're trying to figure out what this mysterious space cube is, I'm not calling the guy that runs the taxi. Like, I'm not.
He's not listen, whoa, the engineer's a taxi now?
Transporter's a fancy taxi.
Okay, Scotty. Hey, Scotty, I got your back, buddy. It's more than a taxi, okay? It saves lives, okay?
That's true.
Lives.
It does.
It does good things besides that. It transports waste. It brings aliens on ship. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that how they get rid of their? Is that how they get rid of their waste products? They put it on the transporter and beam it down to a planet.
They just poop into a barrel, and then when it's full, they just drop it on the transporter. Just get rid of it.
Freeze dry and it transports out.
Yeah.
Scotty's like, why did they become an engineer for this?
Send the ship. There's a bomb for him. We got a bomb for him, all right?
They're jamming our sensors.
Oh, I gotta calm down. Okay.
All right. So so they give their non-reports, and Bailey suggests that they just use their phasers to blast it. And Kirk's like, I'll keep that in mind when this becomes a democracy. I'm like, yeah, Bailey's a fucking problem. He's like, Space Cube, shoot it. But also,
Bailey, shut up.
Yeah, just shoot it.
The whole episode has been Kirk bitch slapping Bailey.
Yeah, I know, and Spock.
Yo, shut up.
So we get another captain's log that explains that their star maps show no habitable planets nearby, and the cube has held them there for 18 hours. And then we get like shots of the crew just like hanging out, just doing jack shit. And it's one of those things like when we're at work and things aren't working, and I'm like I don't care, I'm getting paid to do this. Like I'm getting paid to do nothing. So that's what they're doing. They're just getting paid to just do nothing.
Sit around, have a conversation, have a couple drinks.
Yeah. So Kirk and his crew are in the meeting room discussing the cube, and Spock says he believes that it's either some kind of space buoy or like a fly paper, so it's like a trap. And he says that sticking around would make them appear to be weak. So Kirk is like, yeah, that sounds about right. So we're going to go ahead and take some action. And he calls to Bailey, who immediately calls the phaser crew. Kirk's like, yeah, it's time to take action. Hey, Bailey. And Bailey's like, get them phasers ready. And Kirk's like, no, like, don't do that.
Hold on. He's been slapped Bailey again. Bailey's like, no, oh my God. Every time Bailey talks, I swear, like I think Kurt wants to slap him. You know how that, like, yo, like, why are you still talking, bro? Like, first of all, you want to blow it out the sky, man, you said call phrases. Well, I thought, no, you thought wrong. Like, I'm captain. Shut the hell up. Let me do my job.
But like Bailey's the kind of guy that like Kirk's sitting there with like a beer bottle and he can't get the cap off and he's like, hey Bailey, and Bailey's like, ready the phasers. Like, we're just gonna blast it. So Bailey tries to.
I feel like Kirk. I was gonna say, I feel like Kirk wants to take Bailey down to one of these planets. Like, man, I hope it's his turn to go for my casualty report.
He's like, you know what we need? An excursion with the guy that we just were introduced to.
Holy so.
So Bailey tries to explain, his whole phaser thing, but Kirk just cuts him off, and he's like, I haven't requested an explanation. This point, I'm just like, please just get rid of him. Like, he's obviously an issue. Like, Kirk's being way too patient.
Dude, I'm telling you, Kurt's like every time Kurt talks to him, dude, I'm sitting there smirking, like, yo, he's like, yo, like little boy, captain here. Like, I'm just laughing so hard every time he does it. It makes me laugh so hard.
Can you imagine though? Like Bailey comes in to replace Gary Mitchell, and Kirk's like, "You're never gonna fill his shoes. He was a literal god. Like, what are you? You just drive the ship."
It's like you're a piece of shit, and you'll always be a piece of shit.
We should blow you out with a transporter with the other shit. So Kirk orders Bailey to plot them a spiral course away from the cube to try to pull away from it. And Sulu calls the engine room and just tells him to stand by. So Sulu's on it, like he knows. What if Sulu, though, is just like, spiral course, phaser crews, get ready. Kirk's just like, fuck. But on the bridge, they try to do the spiral maneuver and they start going real fast and the cube just stays in front of them. And then they just keep getting this alarm that sounds. And Spock says that there's radiation and that it's increasing. So Kirk's like, all right, full stop. Let's sit in this radiation.
As one does.
Yeah, like, hey, we're in radiation. Okay, let's sit here. But the cube continues to approach them as the radiation increases. So Kirk's like, all right, well, let's try to go at full speed. And then the radiation nears their tolerance level, and the cube starts to spin really, really fast. So Kirk tells Sulu to set warp speed. He's like, we're getting out of here. But the radiation passes their tolerance level and into the lethal zone as they hit warp 3, and the cube's just still in front of them. So the cube is coming towards them, and it's at like 51 meters and closing in. And Kirk is like, all right, okay, phaser crew's ready. And there's like a little defeat in him, knowing that they're about to do the thing that Bailey has been suggesting since the beginning. And Spock warns that they can only take a few more seconds of the radiation. So Kirk's like, hey, Bailey, lock the phasers on target. And Bailey doesn't respond because he's in awe of the spinning cube. And so Kirk has to tell him again. He's like, yo, dude, get your shit together. Let's lock them on. So he locks.
You wanted to blow the shit up earlier.
Right.
Where are you at now?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not that big a deal. It's just a spinning cube, dude. But he does lock on, and Kirk orders them to fire the main phaser. And they just fire 2 short bursts at the cube, and they cause a big old explosion that just rocks the ship. And I really enjoyed pretty much everything about this episode up to this point. Like, I really love, they do really good tension, like dramatic tension, where just things start going. And I like that we got to finally see the ship shoot something. So like I had written a note here that just really good tension. Like they've always been good at when things start to take off. I think it's when it shows at its best.
The dramatic part of this episode actually is not even the show; it's the music. Whoever did the music for this episode was a genius. That weird ass it's so cool in itself.
Yeah,
like it's a real awesome, and it's like kind of like nightmarish and kind of scary and sci-fi at the same time. It's a really cool sound. That every time I came on, like I knew something mysterious, something was going on. That's what this. Like I said, every time we watch these episodes, their audio cues and their music are so on point all the time. Like I know it's kind of faux pas word anyway to like use music for cues or whatever all the time. But it seems like they use the music in this episode and the sound effects so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so good. Like it just, I don't know what it builds the tension up. It makes everything more intense or whatever. And it like the stuff we have nowadays, they use music all the time, so it's not as good. It's not as great. Like this seems to use music and sound when it's needed at that moment to exactly make you feel in that moment more and
Yeah.
more.
It helps tell the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps tell the story so much. Like, and I feel like we lost watching this. I realized we lost that over time with things we watch now. Because when I watch this, like the music, the sound cues, everything is just so on point. It's crazy to me how good it is.
Yeah, and like that's the thing that now is when you hit a scene that has no music, then it has like a bigger, like more profound effect than scenes with music. So yeah, you're absolutely. We kind of like flip flopped.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess the one time they didn't really use music effectively was like 5 minutes ago when they just had Kirk's ass walking out the door. But anyway, it's like the only time too. Seriously, go back and watch that. It's right in the beginning. Just go back and watch and listen to that music.
I saw it. I saw it. I get you.
So, yeah, we go to a commercial from here. We come back to a captain's log as usual, where Kirk explains that the cube has been destroyed and the Enterprise has only suffered minor damage, and that he's got to decide whether they want to continue ahead or to turn back. So Spock says that they have no contacts in any of any objects or anything in any direction, and Kirk asks him if he wants to speculate on what they're going to find ahead, and Spock's like, no, but logically they'll discover the intelligence that sent the cube. So Kirk wonders if the intelligence is going to be like different, like superior, or like more superior than them, and Spock answers that it'll probably be both. And Spock asks Kirk if are you asking like for a logical decision? And Kirk's like, no. And so Kirk explains that their mission is to seek out life and contact, seek out and contact alien life. So that's why he wants to continue. And Spock's like, do you know how inefficient it is to constantly question me on things that you've already made up your mind about? And Kirk just kind of smirks and he's like, oh, it gives me emotional security. So again,
Which
just their
sums
relationship.
up their relationship perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he just, yeah. It's funny because he's just like so openly says it. And like, I know he has that smirk, like he's kind of being coy, but no, that's 100% why he continually asks Spock shit that he already knows. He's just looking for that validation.
Yep.
Yeah, and they both just kind of smirk as Kirk orders the navigator to set the course ahead and orders Sulu to warp 1. And what I thought was funny about this is like there's a guy underneath the navigation panel like doing work. You see like little flashes as he's like soldering wires and shit. And Bailey just reaches over and hits a switch on the panel this guy's working on. Like, dude, like something could have gone terribly wrong there.
Look, Bailey's not good at his job.
Listen,
We know this by now.
Yeah, Bailey's having some issues. He's having a bad day. Okay, he's having a bad day. The box ship got a little hyped up. We give Bailey a pass.
Also, that technician
lockout tagout's not a thing in the future.
That's exactly what I was about to say. That technician should have lockout tagged out that shit if you don't want to get shocked. So, Kirk,
so it was really on him.
Yeah, it's both of their faults. You got to know there's a guy under there. But Kirk goes to leave the bridge, and he stops and turns around and tells Bailey that the phaser crews were sluggish, and he says that Bailey was slow to lock onto his directional beam. And he's like, hey, Sulu, engineering decks could have been a little faster too. So he orders them to do a series of simulated attacks and evasive maneuvers and continue repeating the exercise until they are proficient. And then at this point, I'm like... And I know you're going to fight me on this, Paul, but Sulu is the life sciences officer. Why is he at the helm all the damn time?
Maybe he's a helm officer. I don't know. Maybe he's both.
He's life sciences.
Listen, my funny part about this is when somebody's in trouble, but you don't want to yell at you want to yell at them about something, but you want to also include other people. Damn well he was only mad at Bailey. He only wanted Bailey to do the damn things. He was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and mention engineering also. That way Bailey don't feel like start crying.
Yeah.
Damn well, because the only person that was slow was Bailey clicking the phasers. That was it. Engineering did their job. Leave Scotty alone. Scotty did his job. Okay, Scotty did the job perfectly fine. Don't be looping him up with Bailey over here, not pressing buttons. Engineering could have been faster too. Man, shut up, man.
You know what I appreciated? You know what I appreciated after Kirk told him to do that is that you'd hear them in the background.
Yeah.
Over the intercom doing the test over and over.
Yeah, I really like those small details. I know we've Like I mentioned that pretty much every time it comes up, but I really enjoy when they do stuff like that, just because it makes the ship seem like, you know, it's bigger than the room that they're filming in.
Yeah, but you
Right.
also know. Well, we're about the next scene is about to make that even more relevant because Bones, he's talking about Bailey having his breakdown, like whatever, and Bones says, "Listen to his voice,"
Yeah,
implying that he can hear panic as they're doing the test, not calm.
right.
Yeah, because they get right after this, they get in the elevator,
Yep.
and then he has a conversation with him about Bailey and how he don't think, not sure if he's ready or not. And he said, "Listen to his voice," because you can tell that even over the intercom, as he's doing the test, he's doing them panicked.
Yeah.
Well, we find out that Kirk promoted him too fast, according to Bones.
Yeah, well, that's the whole. I think that's kind of the whole next part of the whole rest of the episode too.
Yeah, so Kirk gets in the elevator and McCoy joins him, and he tells Kirk that the men are tired, and Kirk just immediately cuts him off, and he's like, "Aren't you the one that always says that a little suffering is good for the soul?" And McCoy's like, I never say that." And you can hear like the announcements going off in the intercom to prepare for their simulated attack. Yeah, like McCoy says that he's worried about Bailey, and Kirk cuts him off again and says that he's gonna be fine. And McCoy's like, well, you know, do you see something of yourself or like something that you like in Bailey, or something familiar like you were, or something from yourself from 11 years ago? And you can still hear that background chatter going off, which we never found out what he was talking about, like from. Like, I don't care if I jump ahead at this point because we never find out what the hell he was talking about like Kirk from 11 years ago. They never talk about that again. Like, what was Kirk doing
I
11
wonder
years
if
ago?
they're foreshadowing, like laying stuff down now to pay off later on.
Yeah, I mean, that could be, but like a weird throwaway line for something that could potentially happen like in real lifetime, like weeks or months later. Like, who the hell's going to remember that? Oh, I remember 6 months ago, in that elevator.
I took that scene different. Maybe I didn't pay attention to the subtitles as I was watching it, but I took it as in they were saying that he found Bailey 11 years ago and he's been on his team for that, like, been that long. I maybe it was something. Maybe I just read it wrong. I guess I didn't realize they were talking about the incident between Kurt 11 years ago. I didn't realize that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I must
Well,
have read I read the whole scene wrong then.
haven't they in past episodes referenced to Kirk having a past that they haven't really alluded to yet?
Yeah, they keep doing just like little throwaway comments like this.
That's what I'm saying. I'm wondering if the show isn't laying like a small foundation to pay off later. Like we'll get an episode explaining why Kirk is the person that he is.
Yeah, I really hope so. Because I like Kirk as a character, but I guarantee you he was not always this like sure of himself, pretty much always knows what to do kind of guy. Like I'm curious about younger Kirk.
You would have to grow into that role almost. That at least
Right.
that's how I would feel. Like you wouldn't start off as a great captain. You kind of have to work your way up and figure things out to become a great captain or
Yeah.
a person later on.
Honestly, I think it would ruin his character for me if they just set him up as like he was always just a confident and collected badass. I'd be like, well, that's boring.
Boring. Yeah, I agree.
Well, maybe maybe Kurt's only been within the Federation for the last 11 years, and maybe it took him 10 years to get a post as the captain. So he's saying maybe he looks like you, maybe it was like you when you first started or something like that. I'm not sure.
Oh shit, that could be. The what is it? The J.J. Abrams movies was the beginning of Kirk's. That's right. So he was kind of always this sure of himself guy. Damn, I forgot those movies existed for a minute.
Well,
But
we know
he was a lot more reckless though.
He was reckless
in
and
those
cocky.
movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not really sure about his past or whatever, but I just feel like if it's 11 years ago, maybe he's been in the Federation, like I said, 11 years, and he finally got a ship or whatever. They say, "Oh, he reminds you of you when you were first here, and now
Right.
look what you become." So like you see something in him like you were. I'm not sure, but I mean it's way too deep, but I get the idea.
Yeah. So they're still in the elevator, and Kirk asks McCoy, he's like, "Oh, you've been reading your textbooks again?" And McCoy says he doesn't need textbooks to tell him that Kirk could have promoted Bailey too fast. And so the elevator stops, and Kirk just gets out. So a little bit later, McCoy is pouring a drink for Kirk in his office as they continue to talk about the crew. And Kirk says that, he's heard McCoy say that man is ultimately superior to any mechanical device. And McCoy's like, I never said that either. Like, where are you getting this shit? Like,
it's funny. I swear those are quotes he said in other episodes.
That's a good question.
I was gonna look it up, but I didn't. I swear, I believe he said it. He's like, I know you said that. Like, I remember when you said it. Like, oh no, you said it. No, bro. I know you said it. I remember you saying it. Like that's how I feel.
The way he said it, that I never said that, would be something I would say if I had said something, but trying to joke about never saying, like, oh, I never said
exactly.
that. I took it as a very joking matter.
Oh, you said she was cute. No, bro. I never said that. Like, no. I didn't say that. You said that. I agree with you. Like,
but also, this is, I guess, the second or third episode of the series. So he really didn't say shit to this point. They just aired it out of order. So Spock calls Kirk to tell him that they've reached 94% on their exercise rating, and Kirk says to try for 100%. And Spock's like, "Yeah, I agree." Does Spock ever get tired? Like, does he sleep? Like, does he ever feel mentally run down? Would it just be illogical?
Yep, I don't think
that is a good question.
He's like,
I don't think Spock can be mentally run down. Maybe physically.
Well, he had that emotional breakdown when
he was infected by a virus.
He had the drug. Yeah, the virus.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So McCoy asked Kirk he's like, what are you going to do when they get that 6% and give it to you? And Kirk starts to respond. He's like, I'll tell you what I'm going to do with that. But they get interrupted when Yeoman Rand enters the room with some food for Kirk. And she's like, yeah, it's past time for you to eat. What was he going to do with it? He's like, I'm going to take that 6%, shine it up real nice, turn that sumbitch sideways.
Dude, I thought he was about to go ham too. He was sitting up and take it up and shove it up your.
It's going to be directed towards Bailey though.
Yeah.
So Kirk starts complaining about the salad that Janice gave him, and
it was a poor looking salad. Let's be honest here.
The dude got served food. He didn't have to go get it himself. He's just going to have to eat what he got, or he can go get his lazy ass self.
Let's put it out here. Like the sexism of this show is so bad at sometimes that the show's hilarious. Like, she came in, he's the captain. She put the damn table setting down. She started feeding them. It was almost like a mom thing at a moment. Like, oh, eat your vegetables. I'm like, yo, you can't do that. Like, she even put the little thing down on his legs too.
Yeah.
Like, she put
she did. She put the napkin down.
He put the napkin on his legs and everything, bro. Like, she literally did the most nurse mom type thing, and I'm like, oh, that's so like she's so like. And then other episodes, she's like this real powerful person, like respected and strong or whatever. And then the next one, they got her doing some stuff as mundane as getting.
She has multiple jobs. She has to take care of the captain. That's her job.
Yeah, she is his yeoman. But that's a little too much.
I don't know what yeoman is. I don't know I thought yeoman meant assistant. Maybe I get it.
Yeah,
but it don't mean like, I don't know, like this level of yeomans. This level of thing is just. I don't know. I just found it kind of weird.
Yeah, she wait in the bathroom to wipe his ass too for him.
Well, I find it particularly weird because I'm about to go on a little small rant for the 5 minutes, couple minutes in a second. Okay, so I find it weird that 2 episodes ago, I had one of the most interesting conversations about the female being the one that saved Kirk for the first time, right?
Right.
Now we're going back to fitting female stereotypes later on. That shows me that this episode had to be earlier.
Yeah, it's still just building character for her.
Yeah, because the progression of this of Yeoman Rand is already further than this. It's way deeper than this.
Yeah.
And then even other females they put in this show, they've switched gender norms, changed gender so much to make them strong or whatever. So that's when the moment episode I thought, you know what, this has to be old, because the way they treat her is almost like an assistant again, the female assistant stereotype, bringing food, putting napkins on or whatever. It's all kind of fitting that old stereotype.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the unpopular opinion here on this. I didn't take it that way. Would it have been just as bad if a guy would have brought him food?
Well, he would have did the napkins though.
I don't think bringing Kirk food depowered her as a person. If anything, it just shows that Kirk relies on her on a lot of things.
Okay, I think it was more the napkin thing, and it personally for me, it's not really like that. It's a it's just a funny observation. But
yeah, she put the
let's be
napkin down
honest
on the
here.
table, put the napkin on his lap. Like,
Let's be honest here. No matter what she did, if I was Kirk, I would have been mad that she just brought me a salad. Like,
dude, fuck you. I love salad.
Oh, get out of here.
You like salad?
I love
or
salad.
You don't?
No, I absolutely love salad.
But if someone just brought you lettuce, you wouldn't be too happy. Like, here's a plate of lettuce.
Okay, but a lettuce is not salad. A salad is lettuce with other things. Like, it's
that looked just like lettuce. No tomatoes, no croutons.
Yeah. Well, we couldn't.
No, I didn't even look like there was
salad
any
was
ranch
turned
on
up.
there.
We couldn't see what was in there. They didn't have any space ranch. But so she does. She says that McCoy changed Kirk's diet card, and McCoy is like, yeah, your weight was up a couple of pounds. And Kirk asks Janet to bring some for McCoy, and he says that he doesn't eat until the crew eats. And at this point, I had a note, like when Kirk was complaining about the salad, I'm like, dude, I hate Kirk in this episode. Like, he's really just been awful this entire episode. And then obviously I found out later that it was in the beginning of the series, so they were still kind of like establishing his character. But like in the order that we're watching them, which is the order that they were aired, he just he seems like he's got just some really bad mood swings, and he just seemed like a dick this episode for absolutely no reason. Like I think I kind of like him less and less as time goes on.
Bailey was kind of bringing on himself though.
Yeah, that's but like he's just bitching about the salad. And then okay, here's the next part. So Janice leaves and Kirk starts complaining about having a female yeoman, and McCoy is like, well, he just makes a joke like, what, you don't trust yourself around her? And Kirk's like, well, I already have a female and her name is the Enterprise. Like now he's bitching that, like would he complain, like you said, if a male had brought him the salad? Like he's just gotta be a dick.
Mad he got a salad.
It's one of those moments for me akin to when Pike was like, sorry, I'm just getting used to having a female on the bridge. Like it's kind of like that. Just kind of a weird, offhanded, like out of character comment.
Well, once again, it's the time though, like the 60s or late 60s, early 70s. It's a time thing.
Yeah, no, yeah, I get that, but like it's just to me like Kirk this episode is just being he's not being very Kirk like he's kind of being like bitch Kirk.
Yeah, it's funny.
Maybe he just needs a Snickers because he's hungry.
That could, not a salad.
Another thing I noticed episode random is like there are a lot of females in the background of this episode. Just random.
Yeah.
Like wow, can't talk. A lot of characters. Like you always see Uhura and you always see Yeoman and Rand because they're two pretty much females of the show. Yeah. But like randomly cast around, you just see random ones throughout the show, like walking by and stuff like that. I thought, oh, okay. Like it just keeps adding more and more characters. Hopefully, we get to meet more and more characters as we go along.
Yeah, there seems to be a pretty even split of men and women on the ship. Just that's not represented well on the bridge. Like the bridge is just like mostly male.
Yep, this Uhura.
So they're listening to the exercises being conducted over the loudspeaker when Sulu cuts in and orders everybody to their battle stations and says that it's not a drill. So Kirk calls Spock to see what's going on, and Spock says that there's a much larger object that is approaching them. So we get to the bridge, and they're probing the object when it shows up on their screen. It just comes like flying at them. And Kirk orders them to prepare for evasive action, and then their ship starts to shake really bad, and Spock says that they've been caught in a tractor beam. And Sulu's like, hey, our engines are overloading, so Kirk orders them to just full stop. So the object approaches, and it's just a big sphere, just like a big old ball this time. Do you think we would have eventually gotten to triangle if they it just blew this one up? Like it just keep throwing shapes at them.
I gotta say, this really freaked me out, and I don't know why. Like their ship being so much bigger than the ship, like it really freaked me out. And I don't know why. Like, it started getting bigger and bigger. I thought, yo, this is a really big ship.
Yeah.
Like this is a really, really big ship. I was like, I kind of got freaked out for them in general.
Yeah, it's kind of like a That's No Moon situation.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking, like, hey, that moon over there, that's not a moon.
Yeah.
The big old round ship.
Yeah.
But Kirk orders the phaser crews to stand by, so he's taking the Bailey approach. And then we get a shot of the Enterprise from the outside, just showing the absolutely massive size of this sphere. And Spock says that it's got to be, over a mile in diameter. And Bailey's like, well, it's over 5,000 meters away, and it still fills the entire screen. So Kirk orders them to reduce the image so he can see the entire ship. But Bailey's too distracted by the sphere, so Sulu reaches over and handles it. Which is weird because Sulu switches them to like 2.85 magnification or something like that. and it still takes up the whole screen. And then he goes down to like 1.5, and it's like, well, yeah, the thing looks huge. You got it magnified by over 3 times. Like a fly is gonna take up your whole damn screen.
He says magnification 18.5 and it gets smaller.
Did he say 18?
They go from one. Yes, he said 18.5 and somehow it got smaller. It didn't make any sense to me because the number was bigger than the other number.
Oh, I thought he went. I thought he went to like 2.85 and then like 1 point something.
No. He went 1 point something and then noticed that magnification. He said 18.5. That's what I thought. Why is it so damn? Why is it so much smaller now? Even though the number he used is bigger.
Huh.
Yeah, I kept notes of that.
Maybe they should fix that and everything wouldn't look huge.
Yeah, I don't get that. Yeah, I didn't get that myself. Which is why I thought that it was. I'm like, why does it look so much smaller now that he went with a bigger number? It don't make any sense.
Yeah. So Kirk tells Uhura to open a ship-to-ship frequency, and he tries to contact the sphere. But Bailey starts getting a message over his navigation beam, and Kirk orders Uhura to pick it up and play it over their system. I really hate their little in-ear speaker thing. I don't know. It looks weird. It looks uncomfortable, and just something about it I don't like.
I've already said it's too jarring, maybe, or just too. It's too
it doesn't
big.
fit.
It's too weird looking. Like I get the idea behind it. Like it's cool to have it, whatever. I think it'd be cool to like have one for like a costume maybe one day or something.
Yeah,
really easy. But I hate wearing earplugs right now.
Yeah, there's no way that thing's practical. Like they always have to hold it in their ear because it probably weighs a ton, and it's just like it's shaped weird. So you can't just leave it in. You have to hold it to your head.
Yeah.
So they hear the voice over their intercom of a guy named Baylock. It's just like this big, booming, kind of echoey voice. And he's the commander of the flagship Fisarius, and it's the First Federation. So he says that the Enterprise is obviously the product of a primitive and savage civilization, and that they have ignored and destroyed a warning buoy. So hey, Spock was right. That shows that their intention is not peaceful.
And he is.
Yeah, all the time. And so he says that they are now considering the disposition of the Enterprise and the life aboard. So Kirk tries to contact Baylock here to explain what's happening. But then all of their electronics start to like buzz and flicker and short out. And Spock says that they're being invaded by an exceptionally strong sensor probe everywhere. And he's really like, Spock's like just really in awe. Like he's kind of, he's just like, man, it's brilliant. Like these people are doing everything right. Like it's fantastic. I want to go work on that ship. Like, he really just like kind of admires the attack on their ship here.
Yeah. I think that like the way they work, I think Spock's really, really. I don't know if he's joining. I think he's confused for a minute, or like thinking like, what can we do next?
Yeah. So Baylock says that there will be no further communication. Like he's just not going to accept it. And that if there is the slightest hostile move, the Enterprise will be destroyed immediately. And Spock says, he exclaims that they're shutting off some of the Enterprise's systems, and that he's like, yeah, they're extremely sophisticated in their methods of what they're doing. So Kirk asks if their recorder marker will have everything that's happening on tape, and Spock says that it'll have enough to warn other Earth ships. So Kirk orders Bailey to dispatch the recorder marker. So Bailey seems a little bit distracted still, and Kirk gets his attention. He's like, hey, recorder marker guy. And Bailey dispatches the recorder marker, and Spock's like, yeah, it's on course. We're good to go. And then suddenly the whole ship starts to shake. And Baylock announces that the recorder marker has been destroyed, and that the Enterprise and crew have been examined, and they must also be destroyed. So he offers the crew of the Enterprise 10 minutes to make preparations with their deities. And I was like, man, this is really getting out of hand, like super fast. Nothing that they do works, and I am just all into this at this point. I was like, hell yeah, like, this is great.
Yep.
So Spock tries to locate where the voice is coming from because he thinks it's going to be interesting to see what they look like. And I'm like, dude, like you have 10 minutes to live and you just want to see what this guy looks like. Like he's just over here still doing like curiosity science shit. Like that's not logical
like,
at all.
Hey, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna know the face of my enemy who's gonna kill me.
Yeah.
What he looks like.
It's just like it's just so
Spock
weird.
Is just always like that.
So McCoy and Scotty enter the bridge, and McCoy tells Kirk that Baylock's message was heard all over the ship by everyone. And so Kirk goes to address the crew over the intercom, and he tries to explain, that he thinks he can reason with the aliens.
At this point that they've had so many countdowns to their ship being destroyed, you think most people on the ship are like, oh, it's just another Monday.
Yeah, like, shit, is it Monday already?
Like, do you think there's, like, mass panic on the ship? Like, oh, hey, we did this, like, a week ago. Like, there was a half-hour countdown where we were going to crash into that star and we were fine.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think the only person
You don't think
panicking
there's
like a bum is Bailey. I think Bailey's the issue right now. Like he's the one person around panicking right now, because you think about it, like they got to be used to the dangerous stuff of what's going on, which is why like the Bailey character for me, like even though this episode's great, the Bailey character to me is more annoying than anything else. If they would have said, oh, this is his first mission, like emphasize that or something. Like, oh, or if they went to like a space station and picked him up and he was their new helmsman and he was younger and it was his first job and he was like, he would panic and I would get it. But he looks to be relatively
a noob,
relatively older. It looks like he's been a helmsman for a while. Like, why is he this panic? It really, like it just the training you have to go through, you shouldn't be this damn panicked. Like there has to be
I
like
agree.
almost like an astronaut, like an astronaut not going to panic in space.
But like
Like
the Enterprise is on some like, big 5-year mission, and like they haven't run across shit like this. Like they've never seen a cube and then a giant sphere in space. But I also wonder if
but they've run across like but other things that have been scary though. Like
right.
They've
like
gone up against godlike aliens that can manipulate.
like all this stuff. Oh, wait a minute, I gotta remember this episode is kind of earlier in the
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
maybe
Like, I wonder if
be.
that's where the issue comes from. Like, if we had watched this in the order that it was intended, if you would still have the same perceptions of Bailey, because like, maybe obviously they have to go to stations somewhere to pick up supplies and things, and fix the shit that's happened to their ship. So maybe and replace their dead people. So maybe he's one of those replacements that wasn't there for all this stuff. But the order that we're getting it is the order that it aired, and yeah, I think it does cause some of those misconceptions about some of these people.
Well, you'd have to also expect that when you're going on adventures throughout space looking for other life forms, that you would come across weird anomalies that...
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can expect it, but still not,
Yeah, but I just don't get it, though. Like, I guess I thought somebody trained would not go to this level of panic this fast.
Yeah.
Like it took him less than 5 minutes. I'm saying it was about a minute. He saw it, he panicked.
No, that's totally fair.
So like I don't understand the panic. Like I get it for a story wise, but like it's Star Trek training wise, I just don't make any sense to me.
I have to agree. I have to agree with Paul on this one, because once again, it brings me back to my point I've said over the past few episodes, that you'd want the best of the best on a spaceship. That's why it's weird that the guards from like the last episode can let a guy hide, right there in the closet and not catch him. You don't have people that can handle high stress levels of events. Like that'd be really bad.
No, that's totally fair. My point of view is that like, if I was in this situation, like I imagine even if I had been trained and I had been in these crazy situations before, like this guy, the entire crew just watched this other ship show up after they dealt with this weird ass cube thing, and this other ship completely shut them down and proved their superiority within a matter of minutes, and then was like, hey, you got 10 minutes to live. At that point, I think even if I'd seen all kinds of other shit, I'm just gonna be like, well, fuck, like I would probably freak out a little bit too.
Now, if you want to freak out now, I get you want to freak out now. But he's been freaking out since the day started.
No, yeah, like, that's absolutely, yeah. He's just a trigger happy crazy guy, yeah.
Yeah, he been tripping out since the beginning. So now we're at the edge of the abyss. Now you're allowed to go I get your panic now.
No, yeah. He's been shit this whole
when they've
episode.
given you 10 minutes to live, then you have the right to kind of panic.
Like, oh, I need a minute. I'm freaking out. Like, I get that, but I just think the initial concept, like maybe they didn't think about the whole psychological part of stuff as they wrote things, whatever. I'm getting way to hell way left field with this, but I think personally, I just don't think a guy that's been trained to go in space through all this stuff is going to panic in the first 5 minutes of him meeting an alien ship. That is not what you should be doing.
No, but and I don't want to keep dwelling on this, but we also have to remember that like McCoy has been warning Kirk that Bailey specifically is pretty overworked at this point. Like he's he's already had a lot going on, and that we're kind of reaching a breaking point for him. But no, like everything you guys are saying is completely valid. Yeah, he probably shouldn't have been freaking out to begin with. Like now it's fine. Yeah, but earlier in the day, yeah. But Kirk contacts Baylock again, and he says that they didn't mean to trespass, and that in a show of goodwill, they're just gonna leave. like what if that had worked? Baylock's like, oh, okay, yeah, you can just leave. That's fine. But the
We're
Enterprise,
cool, bro.
yeah, everything's fine. Yeah, we got more cubes. We're all good. So the Enterprise starts making a really loud humming noise that just keeps increasing in pitch as it goes on. And Kirk orders Bailey to plot a course ahead. Bailey's still distracted and freaking out, so Sulu reaches over and does it again. And Kirk orders them to engage, but the engines aren't responding to warp or to impulse. So their weapon systems are also down. So Spock switches to the screen, and he's like, check this out. Like, you guys want to see some shit? And a big blurry, like, wavy image of Baylock appears on their screen, and I was like, hell yeah, finally an alien. Like, he looks cheesy, he moves like shit, but, finally.
Yeah.
It's just, like, really unsettling, just, like, kind of weird. But Baylock says that they are wasting time and effort and that there is no escape, and he reminds them that they only have 8 minutes left. And Spock's like, well, I was just, curious to see how he looked.
Like, not impressed.
Yeah. But at this point, Bailey just starts, like, freaking out, like, lashing out. And he says, like, Spock's just over there wasting time, and everybody else is just sitting around doing nothing. He's like, somebody's got to do something. And McCoy comes over and tries to calm him down, but he just keeps going on. And he's, freaking out. He wants to know what the aliens want. And he's like, we should find out what they want us to do. So Kirk tries to calm him down, but he just keeps going. And he's like, we only got 8 minutes left. And Sulu's like, it's actually 7 minutes and 41 seconds. So, like... So like
Sulu is just amazing this episode too.
Yeah,
by the way.
She's like, by the way, it's less time.
Oh, I mean in a minute. Oh no, I mean a minute and 5 seconds. My bad. I like to clarify that the 5 seconds matters to me.
Yeah. So
and you also find his love for watches and clocks too. They mention that.
Yeah.
Somebody mentions his love for clocks and watches. I thought, okay, that literally sums up his exact time thing for me.
Yeah. But this mention of how much time they have left is Bailey just starts freaking out about the countdown now. So McCoy's like, look, it's practically your end of your watch. You need to calm down. And Bailey's like, at the end of my watch is the end of everything. He's like, are you guys robots or like wound up toy soldiers? And so Kirk just starts yelling at Bailey. And he's like, you're relieved. Get out of here. He tells McCoy to take Bailey to his quarters. And at this point, like, I really liked the actor that played Bailey at this point. Like, they get people that are really good at conveying like anger or just like kind of freaking out.
He really I was about to say something. He's really good at acting about freaking out.
Yeah.
Like his freaking out looked really good.
Yeah.
Like the way he freaked out, like I thought it was really good acting too.
Yeah, just like really believable.
Yeah, at first him being like, I didn't think, but this guy's really good at the extremes. Kind of like Kirk. Like I don't think Will Shatner's a great actor. I think that he's really good at the extremes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like he's like the mid range, he's okay, but if it's about the extreme pain or extreme anger or extreme whatever or extreme panic, he's good at those. He's great at doing that.
Yeah, I think that from what we've seen of this series, like Shatner really shines when he has to convey like just kind of like angry desperation. I think is his best emotion.
Yeah.
So McCoy escorts Bailey out, and Kirk tries to contact Baylock again to explain, what happened with the buoy. But the ship just starts humming again, and Baylock's like, "Hey, you got 7 minutes left." And then they go to a commercial, and this is where I noted that, like, if I had watched this, like if I was, a kid or in my teens or whatever in the 60s when this originally aired, I'd have been glued to my TV, just impatient at every commercial break during this episode.
Yeah,
I would have been like, dude, can we just get through this? Like, I just want to see what happens.
And commercial breaks were like 15 minutes too, so like you gotta wait. Yeah.
So they come back, and Sulu announces that they have 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and that's when Scotty's like, "Man, you have a really annoying fascination with timepieces." Just cut that out.
Yeah, I like that.
You should be glad you didn't play the final countdown. Play, they were counting down.
Well, no, it's funny because like when the writers of the show have a habit of putting random facts about people in the middle of death situations to let you know about them.
Yeah,
like character building.
You character building, yeah, in the middle of the other stuff, which is really smart because, like, you see. So I learned that Sulu likes watches, which is timepieces, and then that goes into him every time he says the exact time. It's always exact time for him, Or we learned about Leonard Nimoy not having an adrenaline gland.
Yeah,
like we learned all this stuff as they're talking about it. While they're doing this stuff, like it happens to come up like naturally as part of the conversation, not as like this exposition that needs to be explained. It's not like thrown out there like its own thing. It's kind of trimmed into this conversation where you learn about the characters while they're in the middle of their mission. Like it's very, I don't know how they do that. It's very smart and subtle how they do that. How they put the little facts about people while they're doing that.
We've gotten some good character building for Sulu before as well. Like, and he just seems to be the kind of guy that when it's a life or death situation, he's very calm and he can be pretty focused.
How you should be.
Yeah, like when he was marooned on the planet during Enemy Within, and he was just like freezing to death. He was still out there like cracking jokes. Like, yeah, dude, you're about to freeze to death, but he kept it together. So yeah, he just like Sulu's just a guy you want with you when shit's going bad, I guess.
Yeah,
which probably makes him a veteran at this point.
Yeah, he's Son and Dean some things. Done and seen, not Son and Dean. Wow, good talking. But anyway,
the old Son and Dean.
So Kirk and Spock are talking, and Kirk is upset that he can't find a way out of the situation, and Spock says, it's like chess. When someone is outmatched, then it's game over. And Kirk asks, he's like, is that the best you can do? And Spock's like, well, I can't find another logical alternative. So even Spock's giving up. But also, what are the illogical alternatives? Like, I want to hear some of those.
Yeah, Spock don't think illogical. He can't think illogical.
Well, I mean, in order for him to figure out what's logical, he has to know what's illogical. So, like, just give me some of those options.
Yeah.
He's like, well, Captain, we could get naked and dance on the top of the ship. Like, that could do something.
I mean, that would really throw off your enemy if you just did that.
Yeah,
like, what are they
we
doing?
Didn't sign up for this. We're out.
Well, in a minute, when they ends up and when he says poker instead of that, like let's get a little bit ahead. You guys see the episode, whatever.
Yeah.
I was watching. Okay, so it's funny because it's poker as a logic game that you play illogical. It's the irony of it being poker, which would literally be the one thing I think Kirk would always beat Spock in.
Because, absolutely. That brings me back to our debate a couple episodes ago, Paul, where, in a fight between Captain Kirk and Spock, if it was like a boxing match or a UFC fight, I think Spock would win. But if it was a military fight, I think Kirk would win.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's part of the thing I'm trying to say. Yeah. So like, it's just the way once again, this episode is so smart, man. Like, how do you make Kirk and Spock different but the same? You bring reference a chess. Chess would be Spock. It's all logic. The moves never change. The moves, all characters move the same way. It's all logic. Now, when you think about Kirk, it's poker. Even though it's logic, you still use different ways. You can bluff and do other stuff, whatever. So it's funny how they mentioned two different games that literally sums up both their personalities in a way.
Yeah.
And make it part of the show. Like, they do all this weird stuff that's really smart, man. I get it. I get it.
Yep. So at this point, McCoy enters the bridge and asks Kirk if he can put Bailey's condition down as simple fatigue, and Kirk argues against that. And McCoy tells Kirk that, hey, it's your fault for overworking Bailey and expecting too much out of him. And Kirk tells him to drop it, saying that he doesn't have time for his theories and his quaint philosophies. So Kirk says that he's going to McCoy says he's going to challenge Kirk's actions in his medical records, and says that he warned him about Bailey's condition and that he isn't bluffing. And then Kirk snaps and he yells at McCoy. He's like, oh, bluff me, blah, blah, blah. And everybody like turns and looks at him. And like, again, I really like McCoy, again, kind of going above Kirk's head like we saw more recently. Not going above his head, but kind of like, okay, you won't let me do this thing, then I'm going to make it official. And, then you're going to have to do something about it. But again, like,
yeah.
The other thing is McCoy is really optimistic that his records are going to matter in like 4 minutes. He's just,
right.
We got 4 minutes to live. I'm putting in record. You're going to regret all 4 minutes of this.
Yeah.
And then my other note is something we already covered. Like I've said it before, but I like, desperate Kirk. And I think that's where Shatner really shines. And he was just, his snapping right here is just, it's fantastic for me. But, Baylock announces over the intercom that they have 3 minutes remaining, and Kirk tells McCoy that he hopes that they have time to argue about this later. So Kirk then tells Spock.
And then he has his eureka moment.
Yep. During his yelling about being bluffed, he looks to Spock and he's like, well, it's not chess, but poker. So he tells Uhura to contact the other ship, And he tells Baylock that due to their respect for other life forms, that they're required to deliver a warning that they have one critical item that they never put in any Earth ship's memory banks. And it's been there since the early years of space exploration, and that Earth ships have a substance called Corbomite incorporated into them. So he goes on to say that Corbomite is a material and a device that prevents an attack on them, and if any destructive energy touches their ship, a reverse reaction of equal strength is created, destroying the attacker. And like, boy, that would be a hell of a material if true. Like, nobody would ever fight each other because you don't want to destroy yourself or fight each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but he goes through this whole thing, and then Baylock's like, "You have 2 minutes." Like, he didn't even really listen to it. So Kirk, kind of ups his tone a bit, and he says that since they started using Corbomite more than 2 centuries ago, no attacking vessel has ever survived an attack on them. And he says that death has no meaning to them, and that if it has no meaning to them, being the aliens, he's like, hey, death has no meaning to us. So if it has any meaning to you, or no meaning to you, then you should attack us now. And he's like, we're growing annoyed at your foolishness. It's like, damn, Kirk.
And what a great bluff.
Yeah, absolutely. Just absolutely flips it like, oh, we're not going to die. You're going to die, and you're getting on my nerves.
He's like, do it. Just do it. Come on.
I don't even, like I said, like everything about this episode, I like it. I don't really, like, I would love to talk and get so deep that my brain explodes about every move he makes or whatever, because I'd be talking forever about this episode. I really would. Like, that's how smart it's done. Like, that's how smart it's done. Everything about it's so smart. But even the idea of the bluff itself.
Right. It's very out of left field.
Like, it's
well,
yeah, it's left field, but it's so Kirk though. That's
absolutely.
It's so Kirk. That's like, I'm like, yo, this is really good. Like, I really truly think that somebody like Kirk would do that. This is what he would do in a situation. Like, because like for him, there's a no-win situation. It kind of pertains randomly to the new Star Trek movie, where he does something and he bluffs. Like there's a no-win test he does or whatever, and he finds a way to win. Like this Kirk's object, the way he works is there's no no-win situation. Somehow we will find a way out. I'll figure it out at the last minute, no matter what it is. So this is what we need to do. He finds a way.
I will also say, even though I find myself being more Team Spock would not have been able to get out of this situation without someone like Captain Kirk.
No, absolutely not. He would not have lied his way out of this.
And I think that's why Kirk is the captain, because...
See, that's what we're debating about that before. With Brandon wants Spock to be the captain, and I was like, Kirk. Well, this is one of the episodes where you realize that this is 100% Kirk is the captain of the ship.
Yeah.
And here's why.
Yep, I agree.
Every discussion about it is dead in the water, because you realize, oh my gosh, the way Kirk thinks like Spock, but he also thinks outside the box.
Yep.
And Spock would everything outside the box to get her out of the situation. So it's like, oh, this is why Kirk's the captain, because Kirk's able to take like Spock's ideas, Sulu's ideas, and Bones' thoughts, and the engineer and Scotty take all their ideas, lump them into one, and mix up what he needs to do, and come up with a MacGyver it to make it a better situation. Like, okay, we'll take everything you give me, all knowledge you give me. Here's how we'll get out of this, solve this problem. Here's how we do it.
Well, that's Spock's greatest weakness is being too logical, that he can't think outside the box.
Yeah, and like I can concede that there would be if Spock was captain, there's stuff that he wouldn't be able to get out of. Like, I'm not saying Spock would be like a perfect captain. Like, this is obviously one of those scenarios that I don't think he would have been able to get out of. But we can admit that there's some stuff that he would have done that would have solved a situation or problem much faster than Kirk. So there's a happy middle ground. They're like the perfect team. Yeah. Just like together, they're pretty much unstoppable.
I agree that a lot of times Spock's initial reaction is the right reaction. Like Kirk will eventually get to where Spock is.
Yep.
But Kirk wants to try all this other stuff first, and then okay, I guess Spock was right. Let's go ahead and do the logical thing. But I'm gonna try all this illogical stuff first, and then
they're just like they're a perfect team that complement each other like perfectly. Actually, I don't know that I've seen probably a better paired team in like a TV show or movie than these two. Like not every movie, but a lot of movies have those like, you're mean and I'm nice, but we make it work together. And like, I think that this is like a much more intimate,
the buddy cop.
Like this is a much more intimate pairing of like flaws and ideals. Like I think that these two pretty much just work together absolutely perfectly.
This is so old. I wonder if this like might have been one of the creations of the buddy cop.
If somebody was watching, they're like, what would happen if these two were police officers?
Officers, yeah, like, cause it's truly how the buddy cop thing works. Like nowadays, we have a lot of stuff where it's the reckless guy, it's the really smart guy, and they get together, and somehow the smart guy makes the reckless guy smarter, and makes the other guy, and then they balance each other out. Like it's kind of the way a lot of movies are now. That's funny.
So at this point, Baylock just does not respond to Kirk saying that they're annoyed at Baylock's foolishness. But Spock says that he regrets not getting to learn more about Baylock because Baylock reminds him of his father. And Scotty's like, well, yeah, I feel bad for your mom in that case. And Spock says, no, she considered herself a very fortunate Earthwoman. So like he didn't pick up the humor in that at all. McCoy approaches Kirk at this point, and they kind of have their little apologies. They get over their earlier little spat. And Sulu notes that they have 1 minute remaining. So Bailey returns to the bridge, and he requests permission to return to his post, and Kirk grants it, which is a nice little moment because Bailey, kind of not apologizing without apologizing, and Kirk being like, yeah, if we're going to die, you want to die at your post. I respect that. So let's go for it.
What did you notice? Maybe it was just me, but did it look like Bailey had been like crying? Like his eyes looked red when he came back in?
I didn't look, but I mean, I feel like that would make sense. Like that he's just so pissed off and he's also about to die. I mean, like you can get so mad that you cry, and obviously he'd be worried he was going to die. So maybe he was just off crying somewhere,
or get so embarrassed about how he reacted. Like I never thought I'd be react like this in this situation. I've been training for this my entire life.
Yeah.
What is going on? Like he panicked and he just said that. You get out there, take a minute.
Yeah.
Take a minute, relax.
Maybe he went and just cried it out.
Take a minute, relax, come back in.
Yeah. I mean that'd be a really good detail if so. So with 11 seconds left, Sulu begins the countdown, and when the countdown ends, nothing at all happens. And Spock's just kind of standing off to the side, and he's like, oh, a very interesting game this poker is. So Baylock then contacts the Enterprise, and he says that their destruction has been delayed, and that they will relent the destruction if they can get proof of the Corbomite device. And Kirk doesn't answer. He's like, we're not going to answer that. We're going to let him sweat for a change. So a few seconds go by, and Kirk calls Baylock and he says, I'm denying your request for proof. Like, damn, dude. It's just like, no.
No, request denied. Like, oh. Like, oh, man.
He's like, shoot me if you want to find out the proof.
Yeah, I imagine Baylock's over there like, what do we do now? Like he said no. And everybody's just like, he said no? Like, yeah, he said no. Like, what do we do?
Yeah, like, can he do that?
Yeah, he said no. Like they can do it. Like, what can we do? Like, I almost wish that we could, like, even though the later at the end reveal, whatever, I almost feel like we can see like both ships as they sit there and trying to like have this poker contest with each other. Like, I like seeing Kirks, but I would love to see the other ship's reaction to what he was doing. Like,
just like, is no an option?
What he do? Like, I can't believe this humanoid. What is he doing? Like, I don't know. I just felt like it. I felt like it would have really been funny to see both sides of this coin.
I agree. They missed an opportunity by telling the other side of the story from their perspective.
Right.
Well, the thing is, the horror of not knowing though is one of the things though. So like, would it change the whole dynamic of the episode if we saw the person on the other side the whole time? Because like it's kind of this scary figure.
Yeah.
If
the less you know, the more scary it is.
They're doing.
Right.
Yeah. I wonder.
So Baylock actually appears on their screen at this point, and he says that they're soon going to inform the Enterprise of their decision regarding the ship, and that he's going to give another demonstration of their superiority. And then like nothing happens for like a full minute, and I was like, what? Like, what's the demonstration? Like Janice comes into the bridge with hot coffee, and she says that she used the hand phaser to warm it up since the power was off in the galley. And I'm like, is that the demonstration of your superiority? Like, what the hell happened here?
I swear, I thought that it would be like her come in and she would be under mind control or something.
Yeah, she's just like, here's coffee.
Or like, or like, I thought it'd be something like that. Yeah, I thought it, because like it's very weird wording in that situation. Yeah. So I truly thought like she would come in, it wouldn't be her. It'd be like a clone of her or something. Or like they would transport her off the bridge to their ship.
Yeah, that was a weird transition from like, hey, I'm going to show you my power to Janice walking in like, hey, I got you coffee.
Yeah, and then no display of power.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
like what are you trying to show me that my human's doing her job?
Yeah. But I guess their display of power is that they bring out a smaller ship, and Balok says that it has been decided that they will conduct the Enterprise to a planet of the Federation which can sustain their life form, meaning the first Federation, not like the Enterprise's Federation. It's two Federations. So
yeah, that's a weird cut.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. It's just a weird, like, I'm like thinking about and I have the Steam playing right now. You're right. The whole superiority to her walking into the damn room. There's such a long pause there. It doesn't work. It doesn't feel.
Well, and
right.
the other thing is like what was the purpose of that scene? Like she brought coffee. We didn't learn anything new. Nothing happened. Like what was the point in that?
Well, we know that she can warm up a pot of coffee with a phaser.
Yes. Hopefully that comes into play later.
Once again, that yeoman dynamic is let it go. Let it go. Focus.
Hey man, she's a Maverick. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah, anything for Captain. Now we're warming up his coffee with phasers.
Well, she's pretty thirsty for Captain, so she's aiming to please.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to, bringing them food. Like, bitch, you're getting a salad.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're going to tow the Enterprise to a planet which can sustain their life, and Balok says that the Enterprise is going to be destroyed and that they are going to be confined to the planet. So the Enterprise's engines then turn on as the big circle or the big sphere ship leaves, and Balok says that the smaller vessel has equal potential to destroy the Enterprise. So why even have the big one? Like, just to be scary? Like, if you imagine if every TIE fighter had the destructive capabilities of the Death Star, like, why have the Death Star?
You know what? I didn't really think about this damn thing being the Death Star till you
Like,
brought it up.
It's just like a show of force, I guess, to be like, hey, look at our big ass ship.
Yeah.
Look at what we build that, should impress you.
Yeah, but maybe he's bluffing as well.
But you got to remember though, they could be lying about the ship being able to destroy them also.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, we got this little bit of baby ship, and if you try to get away, you get destroyed. Like trying to trick them into not trying to escape.
Yeah. And that's what I'm wondering too. Yeah, if it's just a bluff. But the Enterprise gets caught in a tractor beam, and Balok says that their systems are open so they can sustain their life and gravity systems. And he warns them that any attempt to escape or destroy the smaller ship is going to cause them to be destroyed. So they start B2, yes. They start to tow the Enterprise. And it's actually a really solid move, I think, on Balok's end, because it's like, if he believes that the Corbomite is a real thing, then you're not risking your big ship. Like, if you lose a small ship, then who cares? But I imagine losing that big ass thing would be pretty detrimental to your fleet. Yeah. So we get another commercial break and we come back to a captain's log where Kirk is again just recapping the situation. And he thinks that the tractor beam has to be a really heavy power drain on the smaller ship. So he wonders if Balok's going to start to get a little careless here. And Bailey then tells Kirk that Balok's ship is pulling out ahead of them pretty slowly. So Spock says that Balok has sneaked his power down a bit. And Sulu just starts giving updates to their ship's decreasing speed. So like the tractor beam is kind of getting weaker. So Kirk tells them to prepare for a right angle course. And he says that they're going to shear away from Balok no matter which way he turns, and to prepare for maximum acceleration when he gives the order. And then he orders them to engage, and Sulu just like flips a switch. Like, I would think that, like, it's just funny how underwhelming stuff is. He's like, all right, maximum speed, engage, and Sulu like flips a light switch. Like there's no like big lever. Or
like it's not a bunch of like
pull a big lever or something. It just like turns on a light.
Yeah. Just like he's like gonna click. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Well, it's funny because that whole elevator little turn crank is very simple, but I found it very cool. Like I get what you're saying. Like this, they do a lot of small subtle things, but some of the big things, this is just always a click or a push.
Oversimplified.
It's never a bunch of. Yeah, it's real simplified. Yeah.
So
good point.
So Sulu says that the engine is straining and starting to overload, and Spock warns that they're superheating. So the ship starts to shake as people get slammed against the walls and the corridors. And
which did you notice the guy in the gray life vest?
No, I didn't see him specifically.
Yeah, there was a guy in a gray life vest almost. That was in the hallway with the crew members, falling into the wall.
We talking about the black dude?
What's that?
The black dude?
Was he black?
The black dude?
Was he black? All I noticed was the life vest.
Dude, I thought it was white light vest. I thought it was white.
Oh, see, I
I
thought it
saw
was gray,
somebody
but you
with
might be right. It just looked out of
yeah,
place.
out of place. Yeah, bro. Yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about. There's a dude with like this vest, white vest jacket. Maybe my colors are off too. Who knows? But yeah, I know exactly what
I
you're
just
talking
had a
about.
note here that like it has to suck being like anybody on that ship that's not on the bridge because you have no clue what's happening or why. Like you get the general plot that you're about to be destroyed. You don't know that you're about to go full
Yeah.
speed from a standstill. So like nobody ever tells them shit. Like they're
Yeah,
just
yeah,
walking
like
around the
buckle in.
hallways and suddenly getting slammed into the wall.
Yeah, because like, yeah, because we're talking about the whole when the ship starts going back and forth and they're getting thrown back and forth in the
Yeah, they're just
hallways,
like, what the
right?
hell?
I'm like, well, if you notice, honestly, I don't understand why they didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like being in the ship has the very issues where like, yo, hey, ship, we're going to be doing a maneuver here. Please, brace for hard turn, brace for impact, something
Yeah. And like
like
the last 10 minutes for them
nothing.
has been crazy because they're like, oh, we're going to die in 10 minutes. And then 10 minutes passes and they're like, oh, we're not going to die. Okay, we can just be casual around the
Yeah.
ship. And then they're getting slammed into the walls. They have
Well,
no
the
clue what's
captain,
happening.
Yeah,
Kirk
see,
didn't even give him an update. Like, oh, hey guys, we're not gonna
Dude,
get
that's
blown
what I'm
up.
saying,
Yeah,
bro.
by the way, we ain't dying.
There's some, you know, it's funny. It took me 10 episodes to get to that point. That thinking about that, he never tells me what's going on, except for the people on bridge. I'm sitting there chilling, hanging out, having my dinner. You know, sitting here sipping on my drink. I'm drinking. You know, I'm sitting sipping on this coffee while I'm eating, whatever. Next thing you know, the ship turns. I got hot coffee
Yeah.
over me. I got 30-degree burns because Captain Kirk won't pick up the intercom and be like, "Hey guys, just so you know, we're doing this maneuver." Blah blah
Yeah.
blah. Oh, thank you, Captain Kirk. I guess I'll put this hot coffee down so I don't burn
And that's
myself.
after you
Hey,
thought you had
Like,
10
oh.
minutes to live.
Yeah, I had 10 minutes to live. I thought I might act a fool, whatever. Tell this chick I like her on the ship. I ran across the ship. Hey, I liked you forever. I got 10 minutes to live. Trying to holler at her, you know, running with my hot coffee, whatever it is. They say no. I finally get her number or whatever. I go to hang out with her. They say no. The ship's turning around. Whatever hell's
But-
going on.
Well,
Like,
imagine
I
if you're taking a piss and all of a sudden the ship starts shaking. You're going everywhere.
You're like, oh shit, not again.
Yeah, that's a good one. My foot. It's all over my clothes.
But again,
Damn, I
like,
gotta change.
Damn you, Kirk.
like again though, somebody
Damn you,
somewhere
Kirk.
noticed this, and that's what that animated series, The Lower Decks, is all about. Is how nobody on the bridge ever tells them anything. Nobody has any clue what's going on in that ship.
Oh, is that what it is? Seriously?
Yeah, it's a fantastic show. They
I never
poke
watched it
fun
before,
at
so-
all of the stuff like this in the entire Star Trek
Oh, okay.
franchise.
Man, I'll have to
Okay,
check
see.
that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're slamming everybody around and they're watching the other ship. And Kirk orders Bailey to begin shearing away, while Spock reads off the increasing engine temperatures and warns that the engines are going to blow soon. And Kirk orders Sulu to go to impulse power 2 as the alarm starts to get louder. And I really love the sound effects on the bridge here. Like they have some that are, there's like a pinging sound, I think, at the beginning of this episode that would just annoy the hell out of me. But they're like ship engine sounds and stuff are really good. I really liked them.
I say every time I say that, man, the sound in this show is
Yeah.
so good, man.
So Bailey announces that they're breaking free from the tractor beam, and then Kirk orders them to stop the engines. So Scotty enters the bridge, and he's like, hey, the engines need some work. Can you maybe shut her down for a few hours and we can work on them? And Spock says that that's probably not a good idea because the smaller ship may have contacted the larger one and told them, they broke away. But Uhura says that she gets a signal from Baylock, and it's a distress signal to the bigger ship, the Fisarius, and saying that his engines are out and that his life-sustaining systems are not operating. So Kirk asks if the other ship has received the reply, and Uhura says that the signal's weak and that it's unlikely, and she doubts that the mothership would have heard it. So Kirk orders them to plot a course for the smaller ship, and everybody kind of gives him this look like, "Are you serious?" But like, what do you expect? Like, it's Kirk. You knew he was going to do that. He wasn't just going to leave him out there to die.
Well, it just, like I said, it's very smart on the shows showing what Kirk does.
Yeah.
Like they've been in this fight together. They almost want to destroy each other, but the minute they needed help, he clicks that switch. Like, okay, it's life. Let's go save them, no matter what it is.
What is it, Kirk, to ask one of the crew members what is their mission, what is their objective, and they're like, hey, to go out and find life. He's like, hey, there's some right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he addresses the Enterprise, finally addresses everybody through their intercom system, and says that the first Federation ship is in distress and that they're going to prepare to board it because the aliens' lives are at stake. And so everybody's like, oh, that's what we're doing. So Kirk orders Scotty to ready the transporter room, and then they approach the ship. McCoy steps forward to argue, and Kirk reminds him, he's like, hey, our mission's to seek out and contact alien life. This is our perfect opportunity to demonstrate what we're doing. Which, why would, it's weird that McCoy, of all people, would be like, nah, fuck them dudes. You would think he would want to help.
Yeah, what happened to your Hippocratic oath to do no harm?
Yeah.
As a doctor?
Yeah, he's like, well, I'm not harming. I just ain't helping.
Yeah. What he said? I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you.
What is he, Batman now?
Yeah. I don't have to kill, but I don't have to save you. Let's go. I get Bones' point.
So Kirk says that he and McCoy are going to go to the other ship to examine, and treat any wounded. And then he wants Bailey to go with him because he owes him a look at the face of the unknown. Which, Bailey just had a freak out. I wouldn't bring him.
Which when he said that, see, Kirk's trying to get him killed. He knows every time he takes the crew member down to a plant or
I'd just be worried that I'd be worried that Bailey's going to pack a phaser and just start shooting up. Why the fuck is Kirk trusting him now? His whole solution to everything's been shoot it.
I think the one thing about this episode, we were complaining about him saying stuff to the ship, but right after that, he got on intercom and told them that there was life. They were going over there to the ship to go get them. So this whole episode, he never told him nothing about the maneuvers, about nothing. But no, hey, the ship over there needs help. They're in distress. We're going to go beam over there.
Meanwhile, half the crew's like there's a ship? What is he talking about?
Yeah. Exactly.
One guy's like, hey, I just peed on myself, man. I really don't care.
I need to get to the dry cleaning deck. So Spock requests permission to go with them to the other ship, but Kirk just immediately shuts him down and says that, hey, if it's a trap, I want you to be on the Enterprise. And Spock looks super upset. He's like, damn, I just want to see some aliens. But it's a really good call on Kirk's part. Spock just looked really upset.
Yeah.
He's been obsessed with seeing these guys. He's like,
wait a minute, that's
Bailey,
not
but
logical
not me.
To take me.
Yeah. So
he's like, Bailey, I think he's been fucking up for the last 24 hours.
Right. So they go to the transporter room, and Scotty says they're locked onto what appears to be a main deck, and he says that their air is breathable, and he gives Kirk a communicator and a phaser, and they get on the transporter, and they bend down because Scotty tells them, or I don't remember who it was, tells them that they're going into a pretty cramped space, so they do this really weird bend down when they get in the transporter. So they get transported over.
I was hoping that was just Scotty messing with them.
Yeah, they go in and it's a huge banquet hall with just vaulted ceilings. You think he ever does anything like that? He's really squeezed down into a ball. I'm getting you in a tight space here, and then he just puts him in an open desert.
I hope so, because that would be hilarious.
Oh, now you guys want Scotty all of a sudden. Now you want my boy Scotty for your thing. I see what's going on.
Now we're Team Scotty.
You see what's going on, Scotty? Yeah, see, Scotty. I got your back, Scotty. Don't worry about it. You see, they're not even Team Scotty. Now they need you when they need things transported. Taxi service, all of a sudden they need you. I see what's going on here.
He's a taxi driver with jokes. So they beam to the other ship, and they're taking a look around, and Kirk's he sees Baylock, and he draws his phaser. And they approach Baylock and realize that it's just a weird puppet. So then the real Baylock welcomes them to his ship. And this episode goes to shit for me. So
yes. Hold on. When I first saw I'm using air quotes here, the alien, I'm like, what is the Gerber baby with bushy eyebrows doing on the show?
Oh, they destroyed this entire episode for me right here.
See, this is where I disagree with you guys. I think this is what makes the episode amazing. See, it was a poker match the whole time. You got to think about it. He was playing poker too. He was putting on a face that he was this other thing. See, you're looking at it as in oh, it's a Gerber baby. I'm looking at it as oh, they both were playing poker in this situation. He was putting off that he was this guy. They were putting off that they were this strong ship. Now they've come together after the game to acknowledge what a worthy game it was, and here's the reason why. Let's drink and celebrate, and let's talk and realize that you guys are who you say you are.
Well, I guess I was disappointed with the reveal that I was hoping for a non-human entity to be.
Yeah, that's where I am too.
Yeah, see, I get it. I get it, but the thing is, everything has been really humanoid, but it still looks weird. It still looks strange enough for it to be different.
So my big thing is like Dan said, I was kind of hoping it would be like a non-humanoid thing, and I'm willing to concede the fact that, like, okay, so I didn't like where this went. I know we're not done breaking down the episode yet, but it's also one of those things that I don't know what would have been a satisfactory ending. Like, I didn't want it to be like, I didn't want this to be the reveal, but I don't know what it could have been to satisfy me. Like, I don't know what they could have done. I just thought it should have been, I guess, not this. But
for me personally, I just truly thought it was like once I saw them, once I saw the person, I thought, oh man, okay, it makes sense now. Kirk was bluffing this whole time. The other guy was bluffing this whole time, and now they've come together and they realize that they've had a nice battle together, or a nice battle of wits, battle of the minds.
yeah, and
now they're going to sit down and have a drink and celebrate the battle of the minds and get to know
yeah, and
each other.
that aspect of it completely escaped me, and I'm glad that you brought that up because that makes like perfect sense, and I miss some of the nuanced stuff like that, and that's why I'm glad that we sit and talk about it, because like that's a really good point. Like, that's a really good observation, and I mean really that's it. Like I missed that part of it, and I'm glad that you brought that up because that does make it better for me. Like knowing that it was just like a battle of wits the whole time. I don't know how the hell I miss certain things when I'm making notes. There's a lot of pausing and going back. So
yeah, because we truly, like, sometimes they have those things where people have the battles, or you have the game, sports, whatever it is. Not the way you go by and you shake each other's hand and good game, good game. It's like this is one of the moments right here where the whole episode is battle of wits, battle of minds, and they meet each other, and then that's how I took it.
So they look around and they see what appears to be it's a child actor, but they ADR'd somebody else's voice over him. So
is it a child actor, or is it one of those, or somebody with a disease?
See, that's what I was wondering too. I think it's a kid in makeup that they did some stuff to kind of make him appear older, which is really weird. Like, why not just have it be like a guy or a kid? But apparently they wanted a kid with like an older person voice. So
right.
So he's just like kind of chilling in this like just hangout room, and Kirk introduces himself and his crew, and Baylock offers them a seat, and then he offers them a drink called Tranya, and it's orange juice. Like, that's all it is. It's just orange juice.
Orange juice and vodka.
Yeah.
I thought he was trying to roofie them all.
I thought it was going to be like a poisoning thing or something.
For a second, I swear to God, I thought the same thing. For a second, I thought, oh yeah.
Yeah.
The first thing I thought, oh yeah, go take a drink, go ahead and get poisoned. Like, I gotcha.
Like I know it would seem rude, but if you're handing me a drink and you just threaten to destroy me, like, I'm scanning that thing with whatever scanner or tricorder or whatever the hell I have. Like perception be damned, I ain't getting poisoned today. So Baylock's like, you guys probably have 1,000 questions, but you need to drink this drink, and they're like, okay, that's really weird. But they just eventually take a drink, and apparently it's pretty good because they continue drinking it. And Baylock says that the puppet is his alter ego, and that Kirk never would have been frightened by his actual appearance. Which, I mean, I get that, but I think they were more frightened of the superiority and firepower of their ship than they were of the appearance of Baylock. Like, I don't care if it's a toddler in that thing. If he can hit a button and destroy me, I'm scared.
Yeah, what's that old saying? Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, I think one thing that happened with the Smart, though, they sit there and hesitated and waited for him to take a sip first before they had a drink.
Yeah, they didn't look like they really wanted to, and then they just kind of did. But he says that Baylock says that his distress signal was clever, and that it was a pleasure, testing Kirk and the Enterprise. And he says that they had to discover Kirk's real intentions, and that the Enterprise records could have been a deception. So McCoy asks about Baylock's crew, and he says that he has no crew, that he misses having company, and he misses having conversations. And he says he wants to exchange information and cultures with one of Kirk's men. And Kirk's like, yeah, that's a great idea. That could really benefit
I got
both.
the perfect guy in mind.
Yeah, so he's like, hey, Bailey, where could we find a volunteer? And Bailey's like, well, I'll do it. So Baylock's like, oh, this guy represents you the best. And Bailey's like, no, like I'm gonna screw it up a lot. But Kirk's like, yeah, that's how you'll find out more about us, is stuff like that. And you'll get and he's like, I'll get a better officer back in return.
A clever, subtle dig. At the same time, very smart of him, the way he presented it.
He's like, Bailey sucks, but perfect. Fix him up and send him back.
Yeah, he's not perfect, but you know what? Come in, he'll he'll benefit because you'll see the mistakes we make. We're not great at everything. Like we make mistakes and stuff like that. So I thought it was kind of cool.
Really, this whole thing, Kirk and Balak have been friends for years, and he just orchestrated this whole thing to get rid of Bailey. But Balak laughs because he's like, oh, you and I, Kirk, we think alike. And he offers to give them a tour of the ship because he doesn't really get the opportunity to do that very often. And he says that, hey, we're really a lot alike, and we're both, we're really proud of our ships. And then the episode just ends with them touring the ship.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was that one.
Dude, that was a long ass. This is the longest podcast ever. I apologize, people, but this episode was talk.
Yeah. I think I don't really have to give a final thoughts on this one. I think like I said, I really enjoyed it. I would have been super impatient about the commercials when it first aired. I liked pretty much everything about this, all the character development, the sound design, the tension, the shot of Kirk's ass as he's walking out the door. I really like the whole thing until we hit that end. But Paul, your explanation of pointing out that it was just a game of poker, I think has kind of flipped me on that. So like, yeah, okay, like I don't know what I would have expected, and I was a little bit disappointed, but I'm a little less disappointed with that explanation. So,
yeah, man.
Dan, what did you think of this one?
I really enjoyed this episode for the most part. Besides kind of like what you said was the disappointed ending, and the only reason, not really so much disappointed, just the disappointing reveal of the mastermind behind the other ship was just kind of disappointing to me, just because he went with another humanoid figure. But I definitely appreciate where Paul's coming from of the battle of wits, and honestly, it should be one of those things where he should have shown himself like, hey, don't judge a book by its cover, because just because I'm small and look like the Gerber baby doesn't mean that I can't wreck ya.
Yeah. Paul?
Well, as you guys can tell, my first time watching the episode, I watched it the first time, got halfway through. I didn't really like it. I don't know what was wrong with me. I watched it again the second time, and I really enjoyed it. There's so much good about this episode. I wish I watched it in the right order, so I wouldn't have been so hard on certain things about the episode, like thinking how it works. But like I said, the whole episode to me was like a poker. Once he brought up poker, my mind switched to it. Oh, it's a poker, and I saw the reveal. I looked back at the whole episode in a different way. Like it's literally a poker match between the alien and him. Literally, oh, I got this. Oh, I have this. Oh, I have this. Oh, you got this much left. I'm going to keep making you nervous. You got 10 minutes to live. Nervous. You're going to make a mistake. Oh, I'm going to bluff my way out of it. It's literally a game of poker the whole time. So I really get the episode. I really get it. I really liked it a lot. There's so much good about it. It's like I have no real big complaints. More of my complaints are always jokey complaints, as in like Kirk never telling people on the ship what's going on. I didn't notice that as much until this episode when I saw the people falling back and forth. I thought, oh yeah, they don't know what's going on. Like I don't know if there's like a radio, like maybe there's some kind of intercom radio system they have that like let you listen in as they're doing things or something. I don't know, but that's one thing I've complained about it.
Actually,
but overall episode, go ahead.
No, I was wondering, Paul, if the reason why Kirk didn't tell the crew is he assumed that the alien was listening to their intercom to see, if they might be planning to do something. So maybe going over the intercom, like, hey, we're going to try to sneak away here in a minute. Hold on to something might have been a red flag for, the enemy.
Yeah. Like I said, I liked it. I thought it was a good episode. Very good episode. Very thoughtful. I don't know. It was a lot. I just took a lot out of it. I think it's really good. I had no complaints. It's amazing. I gave it 10 out of 10. Like I truly did.
We got a full 10 rating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much my favorite episode probably of the whole 10 episodes, honestly. Like by far.
Okay. Yeah, so that's gonna wrap it up for this one. Yeah, we are almost 2 hours in. I don't think we're gonna lose much in editing though.
Yeah.
So the next one we're gonna watch is gonna be season 1, episode 11, the Menagerie Part 1. As always, you can find us on Twitter at WWST_podcast. Gmail's WWSTpod@gmail.com. You can find us at www.startrek.podbean.com or just wherever you find your favorite podcasts, and that includes YouTube. And let us know, leave a rating, leave a comment. Let us know, what you think. It really helps us, in terms of discoverability and things when people have a rating, good or bad. And that's going to be pretty much it for me.
Okay, take you later.
Peace out.